All right, shalom, 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 boys. Here. Well, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I'm seeing in terms of this uh, hurricane that is taking place out here in Texas, Hurricane Virtual, um, and as we see as we move forward, that there are a lot more catastrophes, natural disasters that are taking place in this country. You see hurricanes and tornadoes, just ripping through the United States and off the coast. We're seeing wildfires more and more. And, it seems as though these things can be avoided. They are increasing in size and magnitude, and whole towns and cities are being affected. As we see now, and I'm going to go to uh, the shots with Hurricane uh, Beryl out there, and let's see what's going on right quick before I discussed in the topic of this video is going to be hurricanes, tornadoes, and I'm gonna speak from my personal experience before I get out of here. I got to put in some estimates, but uh, uh, safer? What is a better deal when it comes to catastrophe? Because you're not going to be able to avoid it, whether it's hurricanes or tornadoes. If it hits, it hits. Um, but where would you rather be, city versus country? Well, let's look at what's going on out there. It's pretty bad.
Oh, here it goes. Crack. Cracks, guys. There it goes. There it goes. Oh.
Imagine trying to put your car. Insurance premiums are going to be off the chain out there going forward. I'm telling you, man.
Wait for the, you want to wait for the police? They're going to get high water. So we have a word like waste heat, or you can wait for the. Welcome to Houston. Told just to sit on the roof. Wait.
It's there. They can fit in there. It's fine. Bad.
And we made it. Yay. All right, fail perfect fire. Right here.
See, it contaminates the sewage lines and the water lines and stuff. I mean, a problem with drinking water. I'm going to talk about all this stuff in a sec, but and on and on. It's looking pretty bad out there. And, I'm just hoping that people, are safe and able to get to situations to where they are, not in any danger. But I hear that there's a lot of the power is out there, and it's hot in Houston. I mean, it's hot in Texas. I remember visiting an ex-girlfriend out there, and I used to jump in her little Mercedes and her little E350, and I'm telling you, man, I used to put my arm on the rest and burn my arm. People know what you're talking about. When you're down there in Texas, you put your arm on that lever and it burns your arm. AC is very important. You can't be driving out there with no AC in the car, much less a house. And we got a situation now out there where there's no power. And you hear reports where people are just literally baking and sweltering in their homes. And so, what I wanted to talk about briefly is, which is the better option when it comes to disaster? Because, I'm out here in Western Kentucky, and a couple of years ago, there was a major tornado or hurricane, no, tornado, sorry, a major tornado that came through and literally destroyed Mayfield, Kentucky. I mean, just destroyed the courthouse, destroyed the banks, destroyed all of the house. I'm talking about level. I'm talking about brick buildings. And you can go and see the video recordings of what happened out there in Mayfield, Kentucky. But, in spite of what happened, people were able to band together and pull their resources together. And it's a small town. Resources came in from all over the United States and all over the world. And that's what typically happens in small towns. And we were able to pull our resources together out here as well. I mean, 1 minute I was working, and then the next minute I spent the last, I spent at least 2-3 weeks doing nothing but driving around with my trailer, cutting up trees, driving up to people's front lawns and cutting up trees. And let me tell you, I got extra chainsaw blades, I got gas, I got free gas, I got chainsaw blades, oil for my chainsaws. I was giving all of that stuff, provided that I was using it, and I was using it to help out the local citizenry. In terms of the disasters that were taking place, and that's what I was able to do. And there was a lot of trees down, and so my chainsaw was put in a lot of work to help get all of that debris, because all that debris had to be cleared. People banded together. There was resources that were coming in to help people. They were giving out free generators. They were giving out all types of stuff to help out people. But in addition to that, the people that were on farms, because there's a lot of rural property and there's a lot of farmland out here, a lot of people were able to help out one another with food, with stored food and things of that nature, generators, water. Because a lot of people had wells and they just hooked up their generators to their little well pumps, and they was able to still get water. The power was out here for some time, and I had generators and we had the solar, and we were still able to heat the homes and have good, clean food. We were able to do all of that thing, keep our freezers going. But when you're in a situation where the same type of devastation takes place in a major city, you don't have that kind of camaraderie, you don't have that kind of resource, you don't have that kind of people pulling their resources together, because the sheer size and magnitude of the devastation. But in addition to that, people in the city is just a different beast. They don't pull together their resources like people do in the country. And this is why we say, come out of these cities, come out of these densely populated areas, because in spite of the fact that there was a destruction that took place in Mayfield, Kentucky, that destroyed literally the whole downtown and everything, people were able to come and pull the resources together and share resources and help out one another, whether it was myself, like cutting down trees, delivering materials and resources to people out in the county, using my 16-foot trailer and my truck to get the places and get resources to people from the various places that they had, distributing resources. But out in a major city, you don't want to be in a major city when catastrophe hits. I can only imagine what's going on out there in Houston, Kentucky right now. No, not Houston, Houston, Texas right now. And I speak from the experience of living near a place and around neighbors that had their whole their homes destroyed because of the tornado. And the spirit and the difference that took place out here as opposed to what takes place in major population centers when it comes to the catastrophe and disaster. So, where would I choose to live? In spite if a disaster hit, a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, it's always going to be better to live in the country because people got sheep and goats and chickens and eggs and cows and stuff, and that's a readily made in gardens and whatnot, and seeds and storehouses. It's more common in the country than in the city because hey man, if my situation gets wiped out, there's somebody that's down the road more than happy to willing to help. And this is why it's so important to know your neighbors, develop relationships with your neighbors. I don't care if they're heathens or pagans or anything. You develop relationships with your neighbor. You at least want to be on a good rapport with them. And if a natural disaster hit, and if the neighbor down the next door needed assistance, I'd help them. I'd be neighborly. The scriptures talking about even the stranger, because we will want strangers in the farm. Help out your neighbor. Help out the people because you want them to help them out. Do unto others as what you would want them to do unto you. They have children over there. I would gladly help them out and open up my storehouse to them because I want them to do it because we're in such close proximity to one another. I mean, I can't see them. I can't see their house, anything. I'd have to, walk down the road to see them. But nonetheless, they can get to me and I can get to them. So those are the people that you want to be building rapport with because of the sheer proximity and all of them. They have a pond down there. I can trade some goats and some deer, or we can all hunt deer. But I can trade the chickens for their fish and so forth and so on. I got people and behind me they raise goats, meat goats. I can trade with them. I got the largest land over in this area over here. He has a herd of cows all over the place. I can trade with him. Um, uh, uh, Greenhouse I have. I mean, I think I'm the only one that has a greenhouse in this. I haven't seen anybody else with a large greenhouse in this area. But you see how that community can come together. The local homesteaders can come together to share resources because, in fact, that's what's going to happen because that's what's happened before. And I speak from experience. I'm not speaking from theory. I'm speaking from actual experience of local people pulling their resources together to help one another. It's not going to be any different from one disaster to the next. So that's why you want to get to know and have a good rapport with folks. But that with being said, use this as a learning example. You don't want to be in a major city when a major disaster takes place. You want to be in the country. Even if a major, whether it's man-made or natural, you want to be in the country because of the infrastructure and because of the mindset and the mental thought process of people that are in the country as opposed to in the city. Dog eat world, dog eat dog out in them cities when major catastrophe takes place. Be to the wise. Save yourself, save your family. Move to the city. I mean, move to the country. Even if there's an equal possibility of disasters taking place in the city or in the country, I prefer to live in the country. All right, shalom.